Hello! Welcome to episode 42, Anime Territory. I'm your host this week, Johnny Ruhal, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Benjamin Mob Donalds Shabbing.
Nice.
This week we're talking Mob Psycho 100 Season 2, 2, 2, that's Japanese.
Yeah, I know.
I think Korean is do, something like that.
Did you say German?
Yeah, 2.
Okay, I forgot.
You know, you should listen to our, if you haven't watched Season 1, you should go watch Season 1, and then listen to our episode on Season 1. If you have watched Season 1, you should listen to our episode on Season 1. And once you've done all that, then you come and listen to this episode of Season 2, which I really like. I really like Season 2.
I do too.
I mean, we can just get right into it. The spoiler-free impressions here. What are your thoughts on Season 2?
I would say Season 2 is really good. It is better than Season 1. However, I might have maybe enjoyed watching it a little less. Just because, I guess, I didn't have the same excitement or, unknowingness I had with Season 1.
Okay.
Like, with Season 1, I didn't know exactly everything there is to the story, who these people were and all that. Now that I know that, Season 2 might have lost some of its
allure,
maybe. Yeah. But I still think overall, technically, it's better.
Yeah. I think animation-wise, it's better.
Mm-hmm.
There's beautiful animation. The show does that nice blend of, this is not that great of animation to, oh my god, this art style really lends itself to these crazy battles or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Ping Pong the animation, but Ping Pong to a much more extreme extent, I would say.
Yeah.
Where it's just it's really... there are scenes where it's just well, this kind of looks not crummy.
I think it's also kind of the point of those scenes, I guess.
Well, yeah, there are gag scenes where it's really bad.
Also, it's just mob means
unexciting background character. Yeah.
So he's not supposed to have this flair to him.
Yeah. No, and I get that. It's just it's very much. You just look at a normal scene and you're like, well, that looks a little low budget or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just oh, wait a minute. But they're able to do something very interesting while keeping in this exact same style that you wouldn't get from One Punch Man typically. Well, that might be a bad example, but One Punch Man Season 2.
Okay.
It's just okay, there's not a lot of great stuff. I don't know. Some shows are just this is just very clean, whereas Mob is not clean. It's kind of dingy.
Dingy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dingy in its animation, and that allows for it to do some very interesting things.
Okay.
Yeah, if we gave Season 1 around an 8.
Yeah.
So I would give Season 2 around an 8.5 to a 9.
Yeah, I wouldn't go 9. I'd go 8.5.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
It's,
again, I think it's better than Season 1, but
I think it also hurts. We watched all of Season 1 in just one fell swoop, and we didn't have the opportunity to do that because of our schedules being busy. So it's just kind of okay, I'm in the mood, I'm out of the mood, I'm in the mood, I'm out of the mood.
I guess.
It's just, I don't know. I feel like if we had watched it all at once, it might have been okay, I'm in it. I'm ready for this to sway my emotions. You know, I'm invested. Whereas we watched the first half one day, and or we watched the first 3 episodes. And then took a 5-hour break to play cards.
Something like that, yeah.
And then we watched another 2 episodes.
2 or 3 episodes, and then we watched...
And then we took a 12-hour break. No, more than a 12-hour break.
We went to sleep.
Took a 13 to 14-hour break. Yeah. And then...
finished it.
Then finished it, and it's just okay, but if I had done it all at once, I didn't have to warm myself back up or, sometimes you just need to get in the mood for things. And if we're now is our time to watch this. Yeah. Whether we're in the mood or not, let's go. Whereas if we
That's
could
true.
do it all at once, then we'd have the first couple of episodes as a buffer to get ourselves into the mood.
Because, your mood kind of dictates how you're going to like something.
Yeah.
If you're not in the mood for something, you're probably not going to like it as much.
You'll probably still like it if it's
Yeah.
good. It's just like, okay, I'm dreading starting this because I want to go read my book. Or I'm dreading doing this because I just missed a chance to go out to my parents' quote-unquote pumpkin patch
Yeah.
with my nieces. Which is... I just spent several hours with my nieces.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, well, I could be there, but we needed to get this watched before now so we could record it now and get it out. It's just schedules are different. All that to say, even with me seemingly in a foul mood, good show. Good season.
Yeah, it's real good.
I mean, do we want to get into spoilers? I've got some notes as far as like themes. We can talk about the openings a bit. We can rank the openings.
Okay.
Um,
Are we doing season 1 and season 2 openings, or just openings in general?
season 1 and season 2.
All right, season 1's better.
Season 1 is better.
I think so.
The counting.
Yeah, I like the counting.
Okay, I think I like season 2 better.
What is it? They're both like quality openings, but they don't reach that like.
Yeah, they're not like you said. In general, it's like it's not as good as the Love Is War openings get.
Yeah.
But it's sort of at the same level as the worst one of those.
They're solid. They're like, yeah, these are good
Yeah.
songs. They don't hit bangers.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something. Maybe it was the volume we were listening to them at too, but it didn't seem like it really didn't hit me as
Okay.
hard.
Do you need volume to hit you?
I don't know. Sometimes if it's really quiet, it's not gonna. It could be the best song in the world, and if I can barely hear it, it's.
I guess. I don't think they weren't that soft.
I don't know, it just felt soft to me, but I don't know. That might just be
I think that's just you.
the volume. I don't know. Didn't quite hit me as hard as it felt like it should have. It didn't hit the high that I thought it would, and it seemed like because it was toned down. I don't know. I'm not a musical person.
No,
I'm teaching myself how to play the piano, but that does not mean I'm a musical person.
we are not musical people.
Let's see. But yeah, I mean, you want me to go ahead and talk some of the themes that they touch upon?
I think we should keep themes for later.
Okay.
We can just kind of start going into plot a little bit, I guess.
Okay, that's your job. So, unless we want to talk about... I have some characters written down, but I don't think we need to do characters as in-depth as we did them last time. It's more just like more bad guys show up.
Alright, so I wrote down who the spirit they fought is first, and it's Wriggle Wriggle. I totally forgot what it was, though. Who was Wriggle Wriggle?
Wriggle Wriggle?
Yeah, that was his name.
Oh, he was the plant guy.
Oh, yeah, the
He
big...
controlled all the vines.
Yeah. They go to a
Oh.
farm, it's haunted.
And they get paid in seeds
Get paid in seeds.
and gardening supplies.
Which will come back later.
Come back to later. Mob gets broccoli seeds,
Mm-hmm.
puts them in his coat pocket. It is a mystery tool that'll be important later.
But yeah, they get seeds, and Reagan plants some, and then Mob grows them real fast. He's
And
like,
he's just like, this tastes like shit. You can take this home with you.
anyways, that happens, and then the student council president resigns, so they're holding an election.
Hold up. I want to talk just a little bit more. One more important thing about the plant person.
Okay.
Mob just learns something from it. He's just like, oh, this spirit is possessing these plants. Can I do that? Yes, I can just possess these plants. Yeah. So that sort of comes into play later.
Gotcha. But yeah, Mob decides, or no, what's her name?
It was Ichi Misato, the newspaper lady.
Yeah, newspaper lady kind of convinces him to run for student council president.
She thinks
under the guise of impressing his crush.
Yeah.
But she wants to
She started a religion based around him, and she's like, he's not quite impressive enough to reveal to our religious followers.
So we have to have him, I guess, gain leadership skills or something.
Yeah, it's like this will be a chance for him to grow as a person and be more impressive sounding.
Mm-hmm. So he runs for student council president. Speech comes, doesn't say a word.
He has 5 minutes of time. Doesn't say a single word.
Doesn't win. I'm pretty sure the student council president who resigned gets reelected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I didn't pay that close of attention.
But anyways, that happens. Total disaster. But then he gets asked out on a date because she says that she was impressed by him not saying anything. So they go on a couple dates in quotation marks. Turns out
we don't hear how he responds, but then we see later it's like, hey, do you want to walk home with me? And he's like, yeah, okay. And he walks home with her and then immediately goes back to school because he did not say yes. He said no, but he's too nice of a person to not like walk home with her. She is like, it's kind of embarrassing, but like sometimes I write books, like I've been writing a book or something. And he's like, I like the effort she put in. She's like, no, it's bad. Stop it. She's embarrassed by it. And he's just like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's cool that you have something that you care about. Yeah. She reveals that
she asked him out on a dare.
Or like a bet or something. Because they thought it would be funny. And then... Is it the next day?
I think it's like shortly after. I think it's the same
shortly
day.
After that happens, where she reveals that it was a ruse. She's walking home with her friends, and like her friends discover her book or whatnot, and are laughing at it. Yeah. And she's just like, "Yeah, it's bad. I don't really care about it that much." And so they rip it up, and then Mob is there and overhears it. And he starts picking up the scraps. He's like, "That's not cool. This is something she put work into. Yeah. If you're throwing it away, then I'm going to pick it up." And then they're like, "Well, I bet you didn't know this. She asked you out on a dare." And he's like, "Whatever."
Okay.
So, then she starts picking it up, and then they're like, she kind of sticks up for herself.
Well, they ripped it up into pieces too.
Yeah. So she starts picking up the pieces too, and it's just like, "I'll
catch you guys later."
She stands up for herself a little bit. Then they have a bunch of pieces. The wind blows, and all the pieces go flying again. And it's like, well, there goes that.
Oh, well.
And Mom's just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm an Esper." And he brings them all together.
Makes the book again.
Yeah. And then we see one shot of his crush, Tsubomi, looking on and being like, "Smooth move, Ferguson." No, smooth move, Ferguson, is when you make a non-smooth move.
Oh, my bad. I guess I just smooth moved Ferguson back.
Yeah. Breda?
No. Anyways, that was season 1, episode 1.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is we get to meet Shinra, the best psychic in the world. And then Reagan and Mob are trying to take on urban legends, basically. Something like that.
Is Shinra the best psychic in the world?
That's what he said he was.
They're talking about the guy that chased down the red raincoat guy.
Yeah, big necklace.
He's got the big beads or whatever.
Yeah.
He's called himself the best psychic in the world?
I think so. Or maybe in the East, I don't know.
That might have been better. But yeah, they try to go to a town or like a prefecture or something that has a lot of urban rumors.
It's like Paprika City or something. I don't know.
Well, Seasoning City is the city that they live in, but I think it's got different... Like New York has different boroughs and
it's a
stuff.
different borough.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Although I think something like that. Borough, prefecture, something like that. I don't know what a prefecture is. But I know Japan has them. And then they're like, "Hey, free psychic consultation." They set up a thing. Mm-hmm. And that's when that
guy's like, "This is my street. You can't do this."
It's like, you're not in the Union of Psychics? It's like, nope. I'm a freelance.
Freelance psychic.
And then one lady is like, "You gotta stop all the urban legends." And Shinra's like, "No." And Reagan's like, "I'll do it. And you're gonna help." It's like, what? Okay, I guess.
So they investigate these urban legends.
One of them
while doing that, Shinra runs into a creepy raincoat guy.
Yeah, he's one of the urban legends. But he just flashes little girls. He's a perv.
Awful human being.
Shinra's trying to like question children in the playground to get more information about some of them, and like Reagan decidedly is not doing that. He's like, that would make me look bad.
He goes to like the puppy, right?
Yeah. They find the human-faced dog.
Human-faced dog.
Which is a dog owned by an old, almost blind man that some children have scrawled a human face on. That drew like the beard or something.
Almost drew like
eyebrows.
monocles on it or something.
Yeah. So Reagan gives the dog a bath. Urban legend fixed.
Yep.
Shinra fights the raincoat guy. Raincoat guy goes running. Shinra follows after him. Turns out
forest.
Raincoat guy was gonna like, I don't know, kill him in the forest or something.
Something like that.
That's why you let him catch up into a less populated area. But then we meet
the Dragger.
Yeah, which is like a, what do they call those? Those things that exist because of public consciousness. Things that exist.
Did they give them a name? I thought they just called them urban legends.
People believe in.
It's not creepypasta. It is. Anyways, it's a spirit that's like artificially created, so they are having troubles, like, I guess, exercise.
Tulpa.
Tulpa?
I think.
I don't know. Anyways, so we don't have so much dead air.
Yeah, it's a tulpa.
Okay.
A thought form.
Thought form.
Things that exist because enough people believe that they exist.
Isn't that a plot to like American Gods or something?
Sort of. It's a thing in Twin Peaks, I think.
It's like more people.
That's a thing in American Gods, though.
It's like, also in Theros, isn't it? The more people who like believe in you, the stronger you are.
Your devotion.
Yeah.
Okay, magic set lore. Yeah.
Boom.
It's most certainly a thing in American Gods, but it's like the gods will exist even if like one person believes in them or something. It's just like how powerful they are. And then there's like the new American gods of plastic and money. And, I guess money might be an old god, but plastic and the internet or something like that. It's definitely a thing, and there's multiple gods of the same type too. So like Odin exists in America because like there's a Viking village that sacrificed somebody to Odin, but it's a different Odin than the one that exists in Europe.
Okay.
Because it's slightly different
and
beliefs
cooler.
or different cultures believing in them or stuff like that. American Gods is a weird book.
Okay.
I mean, that should be said about anything written by Neil Gaiman.
That is a Gaiman? I thought it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, back on subject. They fight the Dragger. Again, the Dragger's power is based on like the people's beliefs in it. So
specifically
like,
their fears in it.
So the more you fear it, the more powerful it is.
And everyone's heard of the Dragger, and therefore everyone has a built-in fear of the Dragger, and therefore can't defeat it. Except Mob, who's socially inept and has not heard these stories. And
I don't know who this is.
Yeah. Though he does get scared of, like after that, he becomes scared of.
They go to the Ghost Stories tunnel to find the dashing grandma.
Oh yeah, which is an old lady that runs a lot, and that was The Mob was scared shitless of that.
Because he like tries to exercise it, but it doesn't work because it's a real person.
Yeah.
So he run away. And he's terrified because he's like, I spent the last 3 months running. I still get outpaced by this grandma.
Yeah. Like I run every single day. And this grandma is beating me. Well, duh, Ma. She runs every single day too, and she's got way more time under it than you do.
Yeah, I'm so too. Who's Stalker Dude? I wrote Stalker Dude. And that Mob Can't Be Bullied.
Stalker.
Mob Can't Be Bullied is that these two bullies come and try to like take his lunch money, but then
Oh, I know.
Somebody comes up and like kicks their ass, and then the Body Improvement Club comes and kicks their ass.
Yeah, it's like every.
Was it his brother? I think
his brother
brother
comes at
Ritsu
one
comes.
point. I think it's a couple of different people.
I know it's Ritsu comes up, kicks their ass, and then the Body Improvement Club comes.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what you get for messing with Mob.
don't fuck with Mob. Like, Mob, you gotta stand up for yourself, man. I know who Stalker guy is. They go to investigate this like ghost story that this lady has. She's like boarded up her windows.
Oh yeah.
And then they see it in the window, and Mob's like, "That's not a ghost. That's a living person." And I can sense them like their intent from the next door over. It's your next door neighbor. Right. And then the woman is no longer scared. She's more disgusted.
Yeah.
And Mom's
which
like,
she should be.
Yeah, but Mom's like, weird how it changed from scared to disgusted when it became a real person and not a ghost. But interesting. And another little key piece he picks up. Oh, you can have out-of-body experiences. Maybe I can do that. Maybe that'll come up.
And then after that, Reagan is hired by these like real millennial dudes just trying to take like a...
They want to go get a...
phantom picture or something.
They want to bring an exorcist along for safety while they go and take a picture in a supposedly haunted place. Yeah. And since he doesn't exercise anything there, it's a long drive there, and since he doesn't exercise anything, they don't pay him and they leave him abandoned there. And then they come back the next day, and they have to hitchhike home.
Yeah.
They come back the next day, and they're like, we'll pay you this time, but we're seriously creeped out by this photo you took of us, because there is an actual ghost in the photo. Mm-hmm. They go there. The customers want him to exorcise the ghosts, but Mob's like, these ghosts don't... They're not bad ghosts. They just want to be a family together. Mm-hmm. And Temple even goes and like tempts the dad ghost to like become an evil spirit and harm them, and like you kind of see him like testing out the temptation, but ultimately saying no, it's not something I want to do. And Mob is like, moral conundrum. I will feel like I'm killing somebody if I do this, as opposed to the normal exercising of an evil spirit.
I forget what happens. He doesn't do it, right?
Yeah, Reagan just throws salt on them and says it's been exorcised, and tells them not to worry about it. And he's like, I couldn't let you make that choice. That was that choice would have broken you, I think.
Yeah. Episode 4, they're called to this weird meeting place with a bunch of other psychics. There's a possessed rich girl. Her dad hired all these people to try to exorcise her, I guess. They interrogate the girl. Nobody believes them.
First of all, they have a rock, paper, scissors match.
Okay, I was going to do that after. But yeah.
Where Reagan is just like, I'm going to throw this. No, wait, I'll throw this. And then he beats everyone in rock, paper, scissors.
Reagan has never lost in rock, paper, scissors.
It's a mental game that he's figured out. So he's the first one to interrogate the girl. And he's just like talking to her.
She seems normal.
She's like, can you undo these things? You know, my dad's been acting really weird. She's trying to say that it's her dad who's the crazy one. And he comes out, and everyone's like, I don't sense any spirit. She's most certainly not possessed. And Reagan's like, no, she's possessed. Like, yeah. She's
highly
inconsistent. She called him Papa one moment, Dad another, or Daddy another. Yeah. I did not say what my profession was. She called me Mr. Psychic, which means she can hear us out here. Mm-hmm. So, that's most certain. And then they're just like, well, guess the game's up. So they shatter the glass, and a bunch of other people try to possess or try to exorcise him. And then eventually he's just like, all right, I'm tired of this. Break free of my shackles. It's just time to murder everyone.
Yeah, the spirit's name is Mogami Kaiji.
Is it Mogami or Mogumi? Mogumi.
I have Mogami.
Okay. My pen was kind of dying as I wrote it, so I could be a U, could be an A. Yeah, it's Mogami.
One for me.
Keiji Mogami. He was a famous psychic that fell under hard times. He would like assassinate people with his psychic powers for money because his mom was sick.
Assassin.
And then, like, it turns out his mom was like cursed by all the negative emotions of other people, or because he would constantly be surrounded by ghosts and stuff. So he decides to just consume as many evil spirits as possible so that when he dies, he becomes a powerful evil spirit. Including, like, he had a run-in with Dimple at one point, but Dimple ran away. But now he's an evil spirit. They can't escape. Eventually, Mob starts fighting him, but
Mogami kicks everybody's ass.
Yeah. Reagan I wouldn't say accidentally, but at one point, this like really old famous psychic gets possessed by the spirit, and Reagan like just drop kicks him, drop knees him, or something like that to knock him unconscious, and the spirit like, well, you know, he got knocked out because the person he was possessing got knocked out or something. Which that'll come back later. Thing to note. Then the Mob is like, okay, I can't beat them out there, like because he'll just break this girl's body. Sort of thing.
So I have to go inside.
And they're increasingly becoming more and more like intertwined, their spirits. So Mob is like, out of body experience. I could possess other things. Let's put this to use.
I'll go with it.
I'm going in.
I'm going to Inception this.
He's able to get past the barrier because he was secretly given a little bit of a boost from one of the claws from the former season, the one who had a bunch of...
I thought Dimple helped. I thought he helped Dimple.
Oh, he might have helped Dimple. That's what it was.
I think Mob just got in.
Yeah, okay. But Dimple needed to get in later.
Yes.
And that's when that guy helped out. I knew that guy helped out somebody getting in there.
It was Dimple.
Yeah. Mob battles him for a bit, but the guy is like, this is the Mindscape. Like,
I own you in this.
Yeah. I've got a lot more experience.
Yeah.
He, like, sets up, like, a fake reality where Mob doesn't have psychic powers and he doesn't remember his brother or any kindness that's been done to him, and just, like, routinely has him bullied and beat up and taken advantage of, including by Asagiri Minori. And it's like, these are all actual, like, people that exist. These are these are not me making demons. This is in the hearts of men. And like Mob is about to go berserk after like 6 months.
Yeah.
But that's when Dimple was able to get in and remind him that, like, hey, remember, it's not you alone in this world.
You have friends. You have family.
Yeah, there are
people who care for you.
Yeah, and then Mob is like, oh yeah, I have my memories. And it's like, that's what this guy is lacking. He's lacking strong bonds. Or, you know, or that's what his theory on humanity's terribleness is missing, is that we do better every day with the help of the people around us, and we help the other people around us do better. Yeah, and then he's able to, I mean, it's a super awesome city destroying psychic battle between him and the guy, and then the guy eventually like loses control of all the spirits inside of him, so he's like, I admit defeat, but the power, like, these now you got a shit ton of evil spirits to deal with. And Mob's like, oh, it'll take me a while, but I'll do this.
So like Mogami escapes, but he's able to Mob's able to exercise all the other spirits and the girls.
And then Mogami gets captured by that guy we mentioned earlier, who captures spirits. And it's like,
thanks.
All right, I'll take this as payment for me helping you guys, and I'm out of here.
And then they go to Mob Donald's.
Yes.
That's episode 5. Episode 6, birthday karaoke.
It's a couple of people from
one in the Body Improvement Club and one in the Telepathy Club.
Yeah, their birthdays were, one of them was
Very
like a week
close,
ago,
yeah.
one of them was that day. So they decide, oh, let's go out to eat.
Well, they go to Denny's. It might not be Denny's, but it's a family restaurant.
Yeah.
They say, let's go to a family restaurant.
And then they're like, we should go do karaoke after this.
Yeah.
Mob gets a call.
From Reagan.
And Mob's like, I gotta go to work. And it's...
Well, he first asked Reagan if he could not go. He's
And
like,
Reagan
well,
pressures
I'm
him
kind
to
of with
go.
my friends. Can this wait? Or can you, do it yourself? And Reagan's just like, no, this is really important. You need to come in.
So they...
This is the, what is it? Tofu head?
Yeah,
Ghost?
I think
Something
so.
like that.
I like that.
It's like a real low-level spirit. Mom's
Yeah.
just kind of mad. It's like, come on.
It's like, I told you time and time again, you can't just keep calling me out of the blue like this. Like, you gotta give me some warning beforehand. And Reagan's like, those guys aren't really your friends. And he says exactly the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he's got to be wrong eventually. He's been saying the right thing for so long. He's got to have a few misses there. He will... and Mom's like, no, I know who real friends are. You know, this is...
You're taking advantage of me.
You're the one... Yeah. So they part ways.
Mm-hmm.
Mob seems to be doing okay. Reagan seems to be doing okay at first. And then he sees Mob being cheerful with some telepathy club members. And then it hits him and it's like, oh, I don't have any friends. He goes to this bar and the people ask him for advice. And he's like, oh, it's my birthday. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. That reminds me, this other problem I have. And he's like, okay, so these people aren't really my friends. You know, and he throws up in an alleyway because he's sick of it. But then
he thinks he's drunk, I think, but he's not.
Yeah, he's not.
I didn't put any alcohol in that drink.
His mom's pressuring him to get a real job, and then he recovers because he's just like, all right, it's fine to be depressed.
I got this. I'm fine. I've done this before. I can do it again.
Yeah, I've been lost in my life before, and he just kind of pulls himself back up and starts to make a name for himself with his website, and he does YouTube videos of exorcisms.
He gets rid of this really famous video game ghost or something.
Yeah, he said he spent too much money on in-app purchases, so he didn't really make money from it. But
yeah,
he gets invited
to go on TV. And
that one old guy, Goda.
I called him Matu fucker.
He does look a little like Matu. He's
Mata,
also on the
whatever.
TV, and he was like, "This is my plan." I asked the producers to ask for him. They're going to have us perform an exorcism live on TV, and then they're like, "Okay, after the commercial break, we'll have go to do the exorcism." And he's like, "No, we should have Reagan do it."
Yeah.
And Reagan's like, oh, "Okay." He figures out this kid is an actor. I just have to play
there's
along.
a script to this. I gotta play along.
Yeah, it's still a TV event. I just got.
He's not actually psychic, but he's like, oh, okay, this is just entertainment.
Yeah.
I just gotta put on a show.
So he does a whole bunch of exorcism techniques for half an hour,
Yeah.
and then they're just like, "All right,
We're gonna give
this is a show. You're done. Go to come up." And Go's just like, "This kid's not possessed," and they're like, "That is correct. I was an actor," and they don't give Reagan a chance to explain himself. That
well, they kind of do, but Reagan just he messes it up. He's just like, well, he was possessed
about 30 minutes ago.
Oh yeah, by who? Beethoven.
Yeah. He's just he's put on the spot. He's not able to think fast enough on his feet to fix it. Though I would say, this is what I would say if I was put in that spot. I would say, yeah, I knew the kid was faking it. I thought you wanted me to demonstrate how an exorcism would go in a safe environment. Obviously, we want to bring a real evil spirit into a live TV audience. That would be dangerous. I was showing off all my exorcism techniques. And then I just thought the kid wasn't getting the cue, or that the kid was expecting something more.
Yeah.
That's what I would have said, but I wasn't Reagan. I wasn't there. I say that's what I would have said. If I was in the same situation, I don't know what I would have said.
I would have pissed my pants.
I probably wouldn't be in that situation because I don't believe in psychic powers.
What? I watch Psych.
You watch Psych and you believe in psychic powers?
Yeah, the guy was psychic, right?
Did you miss the first episode of Psych?
Oh yeah, I skipped the first episode. You don't need to see the pilot.
That's the pilot, yeah. This is a character that never shows up again.
Pilot's always the worst episode.
Okay, alright.
Alright.
That being said, our pilot of our podcast, not our worst episode. Not a good
It's not
episode.
great. No, it's...
But it's not our worst. Konosuba, not our worst.
I gotta look back to see what our worst one is. But yeah, I think you're right. I think I know our worst.
We don't have to say it out loud. In fact,
Okay.
we shouldn't say it out loud.
Okay.
So Reagan's like, fuck. People are outside his home trying to ask him questions, and eventually he's just like, wait, I can hold a press conference and explain my side of things. He prepares a defense. Sort of. His mom emails him an apology. He prints it out. And then he goes to the press conference, and at the last minute, he's just like, fuck it. I give up on, like, actually apologizing or trying to explain myself. And then he answers.
He's like, you guys don't know if I'm a psychic or not.
It's like,
Screw
okay.
you guys.
So somebody that's just like, okay.
Prove I'm not.
Yeah. And they're like, when they're like, okay, I'll just ask you straight up, are you a psychic? And he says, no comment. And they're like, well, why would you say no comment if you were an actual psychic? And he said, because you won't accept an answer unless I say no. You won't believe an answer unless I tell you no. And then I guess Mob gets word of this, and he's just like, just causes the room to like shake and all that stuff to float up into the air unexplicably. And then Reagan's like, all right, no more further questions. I'm leaving.
Nice.
And it just leaves it unexplained. He doesn't take credit for it. He meets Mob outside, and they have a it's heart to heart, a reunion.
Reagan, I basically asks if he knows the truth, and Mob's like, yeah.
I've known for a long time that my master is a good person. Like, that's like, does Mom know? I don't actually know if he knows. He implied that he just did, but he's implied things accidentally before.
He thinks every love letter is real.
Or at the very least, worth checking up on in case it is real.
I think he knows.
Yeah, I think he does too.
But then episode 8 is the marathon.
Okay, so we should note that Mob actually was in that room in that press conference. One of the cameras caught like a glimpse of him, and that religion that Misato has been founding, people are like, I think that might be him, and they see like they're able to zoom in and enhance and see.
Okay, I know what you've seen. I thought that was a photo from like this first season event.
No.
Okay.
No, it was from the press conference, and they're like, that might be him, and we found out who the what school he goes to based off of the uniform he's wearing, and so they're like camped out at the end of the marathon to try to catch a glimpse of him.
And I remember why I wrote down Psycho Helmet. That's the religion.
Yeah, Psycho Helmet.
Yeah.
We should also note that Asagiri Minori, who was like one of the bullies to Mob in that dream illusion, afterwards, she's like, yeah, I really am like that.
Oh,
and,
okay.
But, I don't want to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of gives Mom an idea of like, oh yeah, people can change. Mm-hmm. Even supposedly terrible people
Also,
have the option
she
to
joins
change.
the religion, basically.
Yeah. She's just like...
they give him a bunch of money to like build a church.
Hospital, and they're like trying to figure out who it is, and it's like, we had like 50 psychics in that room, but none of them were middle-aged or middle school age boys. So it's like, he was just there. We don't know who he is. And then they found the religion and like, that kind of looks like him. Mm-hmm. And so they get they anonymously donate like a giant building. This is like, oh, my religion just keeps growing.
It's like 700 members, I think.
Something like that.
It's a huge, relatively big organization.
Yeah, it's no longer
They're no longer
It's no longer 30 people.
They're no longer meeting at Denny's.
Yeah. So they're camped out at the end of the marathon.
Sorry, Benny's.
Misato is like, hey, you should really show off at the marathon.
Yeah, use your powers.
And he's just like, nope. It's not about using the powers. That's just a part of me. It's not all of me.
I need to show the work I've done training for this.
He does. Oh, he decides he needs to try to, but she does convince him to try to place in the top 10 this year. His goal is to place in the top 10 next year, and then just, finish the marathon this year and do however good he can.
Uh-huh.
But what do you call it? But they're like, but you'll be studying for entrance exams next year, high school entrance exams. He's like, oh no, you're right. My only chance to impress Tsubomi has got to be this year then.
I told myself I'd confess to her once I placed top 10 next year.
Yeah.
Now I got to do it this year. So he trained super hard.
And then Tenga Onigawara, is that the thug that joins the body improvement club?
Yeah.
Is like, offers him these expensive running shoes, and they're like, oh, he did that out of the kindness of his heart. And they're like, oh, hey, it's the rest of the body improvement club is like, oh, hey, Mom's the one who ended up with the shoes that he bought in the wrong size. Get going, Mom. He does some intensive training with Reagan, who's also sort of out of shape, but towards the beginning of the marathon, he just gets bumped a couple of times. He falls down and scrapes his knee.
Real bad.
So he's sort of limping. He's not able to keep his pace. He keeps going. He's nowhere near the top 10. He's 49 or something.
74th.
74th out of 300.
Something like that.
And he
eventually passes out.
Yeah, he eventually passes out. Reagan's there to try to help him keep pace the last kilometer, but again, we should note it's not a marathon, it's a 5K.
Yeah.
It's a marathon is 26 and some change miles.
There's 3 kilometers to a mile? Or is it the opposite?
It's roughly a kilometer is roughly half a mile.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
The 1,000 kilometers is a mile, or 1,000 meters is a kilometer. And a meter is a little bit more than a yard, and it's 1,700 something yards.
1,600 meters is roughly in a mile, I think.
1,600 meters rough. That's a track mile, but a real mile is 1,700 something yards. So
whatever,
roughly half a mile. Because yards are basically meters, but a little bit smaller.
A little small. Anyways, he passes out.
Yep, he passes out. He wakes up and the nurse's office.
Did you catch why he passes out all the time?
A little case of anemia.
Yeah, he's anemic.
Yeah. He's a fragile boy.
Yeah. I just thought it was neat. It's he's anemic. That's why he always passes out.
Has anemia not the same as blood loss? There's anemia and there's anemic.
I think they're the same thing. I think if you're anemic, you have.
Yeah, it doesn't have enough healthy red blood cells.
I thought it was iron deficiency.
Anemia results from the lack of red blood cells or dysfunctional red blood cells in the body. This leads to reduced oxygen flow to the body's organs.
Interesting. What's our science corner for the day?
Anemia.
Before we get to the big part, the big ending, we should point out that his crush shows up at the psychic office while he's away.
Oh, yeah. Ritsu and Teru are filling in for
Mob.
And as soon as they walk in, Ritsu's hiding because he was also childhood friends with Tsubomi.
Yeah.
And he's I can't have
her
knowing that Mob works for such a shady person. It'll reflect badly on him.
Not a shitty person, just a shady business
individual.
Yeah.
I didn't say shitty. I said shady.
Oh, I thought you said shitty.
It's the famous asking our friend Brandon where he lives, what his address was, and hearing him say, he said Shady Lane, but I most certainly said Shitty Lane. I'm I know it's a shitty lane. What's it called? He's Shady Lane. He just kept hearing shitty over the phone.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but like her friend wants to ask him
Ask her, yeah.
relationship advice, because I guess he also does counseling or something, and then Tsubomi also asks him relationship advice just to kind of gauge whether or not he'd say the right or wrong thing, because I think she also noticed the picture. There's a picture of like he has a collage of him and his happy clients, and him next to Mob is in there. So she's like, he didn't say anything wrong, so I guess you can trust the advice.
So I guess he doesn't know, but like she saw him use his psychic powers when the paper thing, right? She saw that?
She knew he was a psychic since they were kids.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, see, look. And she's like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, I don't show this to anybody but you. And she's like, I'm bored of it.
I forgot. My bad.
She just knows since they were a kid. It's just that Ritsu doesn't want her to know that they work for such a shady character.
Okay. Moving on.
Moving on. What happens after he wakes up in the hospital? Is that when the house is on fire?
House is on fire.
Yeah.
Shows up at Mob's house with Ritsu.
Ritsu is there. Yeah, he shows up to see Ritsu.
And he's like, hey, you gotta come with me. Oh, your parents are here? This is gonna make it difficult.
Yeah.
And then you cut, and it's like Mob walking home, and there's a fire.
Yeah, their house is on fire. He finds corpses in the house.
And is about to rage.
Yeah, it's about to rage. And Dimple is just like, somebody exists out there with a psychic power to make duplicate bodies.
This is episode 9, by the way.
Yeah. And Mob's like...
The start of episode 9, Dimple calms him down, saying, hey, these bodies are fake.
Yeah. I'm sure that I'm 100% sure that there's a psychic power out there that can cause this. Mm-hmm. And Mob is just like, okay. And then he learns a new power of just scanning the whole city for other people that are psychics.
He beats up 2 like claw higher ups.
Yeah.
On the street.
They're just like, that's all you guys can do. Just lightning. Bring me the guy that can do the powers to create fake bodies.
I don't know what you're talking about, but we're gonna kick your ass.
And it's like, then we learn that they were on their way to his house, but they
weren't involved with it.
Yeah. Then when does he pass out? He beats up those guys. And then he meets up with Reagan at some point, and the other, like Teru.
Okay, he falls asleep when he gets to the hideout, and Ritsu tells him that the parents are fine.
Okay.
That's when he passes out.
Ritsu's at the hideout?
I think so.
No, because Ritsu doesn't meet up with them later.
Oh, Reagan convinces him that his parents are fine.
Yes, that's what it is.
I read that wrong.
Because he's passed out before he knows that. Mm-hmm. Before he meets Ritsu and knows.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 organizations currently trying to fight Claw. There is Sho with Ritsu and some other, 3 other psychics that Sho recruited. Mm-hmm. And then there are our old crappy psychics from the previous season, along with Teru and some of the old Claw members.
There's also a 3rd one. There's the mutiny people. Was it Joseph, the guy with the cigarettes?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's but they're dispatched with pretty quickly by the Ultimate Five.
Yeah.
They're just like
they're like, yeah, we don't like this plan. We're gonna mutiny, and then it's just like, no, you're not.
Yeah. But the guy who smoked the cigarettes, that was kind of the leader of the mutiny. He was a government psychic spying on the Claw organization, but he was quickly dispatched by the Ultimate Five.
Yeah, I might have spaced out, but what did you say that Claw is attacking now?
I did not, but they are.
Okay.
They are just like, hey, we took over the airwaves. We're going to conquer the city and then the world. We're psychics.
We're going to kick your ass.
Yeah. They've got 600 psychics, and they're toppling buildings and stuff. Mm-hmm.
They take out a good...
They kidnap the Prime Minister.
They do kidnap the Prime Minister.
Which Teru tries to fight the guy who kidnaps the Prime Minister and loses. Which we can go ahead and talk about the Ultimate Five here. I got their names written down.
All right, let's just talk Ultimate Five because the next 3 episodes.
It's them fighting the Ultimate
Yeah.
Five. Eventually, Mob waking up
Yeah.
and fighting like the most powerful of the Ultimate Five, I would suspect. But
Go for it.
Tatsuya Serizawa, Umbrella guy,
Umbrella guy. Okay.
he's probably the most powerful, right?
Yeah, probably.
So he was like a shut-in nobody that was like anyone who got near him would get hurt by his psychic powers. And then the leader of Claw, Toichiro Suzuki, Sho's dad,
Recruits him.
yeah, like comes and recruits him and is like, no, I know how you feel because I'm also a psychic and you can't hurt me with your psychics because I'm a better one than you. And then I'll give you a place in this world. So he's just like devoted to him because of that. Otherwise, he's sort of a gentle person.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. We'll talk about him a little bit more later. We got the guy who kidnaps the prime minister. His name is Ryo Shimazaki.
Blind guy.
Yeah, he is blind, but he can like just sense everything around him with his psychic powers.
Yeah, he's basically got that like premonition thing. You can kind of see where
he's
people
like
are.
Toph in Avatar, but instead of it being vibrations in his feet, it's with his psychic powers. He's got blind sight.
Oh, okay.
Call it blind sight of like, I don't know, like 300 feet or something crazy.
Okay.
I
thought he could kind of like predict people's movements.
Yeah, he can do that too, but that's not really his. I don't know if that's actually just a psychic power, or if that's just him being smart.
Okay.
It might count as a psychic power, but he prides himself in predicting exactly like, okay, you're gonna fire guns at me, I will dodge it because I know exactly where they're gonna go because I've predicted this. And I can counter any move you're gonna make because I've predicted it.
Yeah.
He can teleport.
He can also teleport.
And he's got a very powerful barrier too.
Mm-hmm.
So like he got hit by a bullet and it's just nothing.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's able to beat Teru single-handedly. He eventually gets taken down when a bunch of the Claw members and Teru are fighting him, and then like they just kind of overwhelm his ability to calculate what's going to happen next, or they like distract him, and then if he doesn't know that they are,
it takes a lot of his power to like use the blind spot and everything.
Yeah.
So he has to concentrate a lot to be able to use
so
it.
if he's not concentrating, he's like, if you can distract him, like you're monologuing or something, and he's paying attention to you, and then somebody else just comes up and hates you. That's when you can get to him. Eventually, he's just like, okay, I just have to concentrate fully. I'm going to tune my blind sight so that I can only see the espers and focus on them because I need to concentrate on there. And that's when our boy, no Esper Power Reagan, comes up and decks him.
Yeah.
So good.
Love it. Best part of the show is when he punches somebody.
We both we knew it too as soon as he's focusing just on psychics. It's gotta be. Reagan's gotta be. Just walk up and punch him, right?
Is that where they're like, oh, it's gotta be him, right? It's gotta be him, right? And then Mob shows up, you're like, dang it, Mob's gonna beat him. But nope, it was Reagan.
But the guy, it was just like a punch. The guy wakes up and he's just like, okay, I'm back at this. And then he just sees Mob's power level and he's like, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm done. And it's like, I think he might be reformed now just by seeing the...
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see in season 3.
Yeah. But they say something along the lines of, I think he just got shown his place and that he's not the end all be all. Which he knew the leader is more powerful than me, but I'm the next most powerful. Yeah. And it's like, oh no, I was shown a whole nother world of power here, and I maybe shouldn't be abusing mine.
Who's next?
So he's just out. There is Toshiki Minagishi, who can control plants.
Plant guy.
I don't really remember how he gets beaten.
It's just Mob kicks his ass.
Mob just kicked his ass? Okay.
I think so. He just controls plants.
He owes Katsuya Serizawa, so when eventually... We'll talk about that a little bit later. We've got Hiroshi Shibata, whose power is he can just use his psychic powers to increase his muscle mass and stuff.
Okay. Hulk?
Yeah.
He's Red Hulk?
I guess. He gets big and red and angry, and Mob is still asleep when this fight is happening. Yeah. They
Reagan uses that
Reagan uses the curse spray from the sword guy Claw, who's also like part of the team, to
put him to sleep.
But then he just kind of just wakes up again.
Tries it again, just doesn't work.
Doesn't work that time. They're they're out running. They bought him a little bit of time. They're out running in the streets. They run into the Body Improvement Club, who had to take an alternate route because of the destruction in the city. They couldn't run the normal route. So they're fighting this guy and losing pretty bad. But the leader is just sees that Mob's unconscious and protects his body. And then eventually, I guess he might pass out, and that's when Dimple possesses him.
Okay.
And Dimple is, but he's able to sustain and hold back this guy's stomp for a while, and then I think he passes out, and that's when Dimple is able to possess him and use his muscles to the fullest. No limits.
No limits. Yeah.
And it's just like the plant we saw earlier. You build the muscles with the psychic energy, it's not going to be nearly as good as when you grow them yourself. So the president of the Body Improvement Club's muscles are vastly superior to the fake muscles from
it's like SpongeBob.
From the psychic. Yeah, Spin. It's like SpongeBob. Thank you for bringing him up in this podcast.
What?
I just don't like talking about SpongeBob. All right.
I don't want you to get SpongeBob.
I don't want to talk about it. We'll lose viewers.
Or gain viewers.
If I talk about how much I don't like SpongeBob...
Oh, yeah, we're going to lose. Yeah.
Yeah. So we won't have this conversation.
All right. Fresh start?
Fresh start. You think of what I'm thinking? It was the Febreze brothers. It's so fresh in here.
All right. We're done.
We got our community reference. We had our other guy's reference.
Yes.
So no more references today.
So, yeah, Hulk guy gets defeated. We're good.
Yeah, well, he gets defeated, but then he gets back up again, I think.
Mob beats his ass.
And then Mob's awake at that point and wins easily. So, because the president's like, I can't lift my arms anymore. Dimple's no longer possessing him. We have Nozomu Hattori, which is the tech guy. His power is just he can take over any electronic systems.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know how it works. I'm not an electronics guy, but I'm an electronics guy.
So he controls the perimeter, takes out any helicopters, gets by, stuff like that.
Missile systems, stuff like that. He can all redirect. I don't really remember how he gets beaten, but it's just kind of like
I think it's just Mob walks up and
yeah. But then we have Mob versus Katsuya Serizawa. In the meantime, eventually Mob does meet up with Ritsu, because Ritsu helps against the Ryo Shimazaki, the teleporting guy. And Mob does meet up with him, and he's like, oh yeah, our parents are fine. They're at a a spa.
Mm-hmm.
They've been given a free vacation. I told them that I entered a lottery and we won a vacation, so they're out of the city. They're safe. And Mob's like, okay, good deal. But Sho was able to get up, and he was fighting his dad and losing pretty badly.
Mm-hmm.
Serizawa was sent to go and deal with Mob, and Mob and him just sort of really just have a talk.
Yeah. Because he's pretty similar to Mob, except he just never got friends.
Yeah.
So they kind of relate to each other.
Yeah. And then eventually Mob is just like, no, he's not helping you. He's using you.
Yeah.
He's just, instead of you being dependent on staying in your room, you're now dependent on him. And that's not being not being a functioning member of society. It's not. So eventually the guy's just like, okay,
you're right.
You're right. And then does he just get also beaten by this? Serizawa just get beaten by Toriichiro at some point in the Mob fight? Because Mob goes up and tries to talk Toriichiro into changing as well.
I'm sorry, I just don't remember their names. I just remember their
titles.
The boss, yeah.
Okay.
Like
How
Umbrella Guy helps Mob like deflect one of his blows, I think, and then he kind of just like knocks him out of the room.
Yeah, he gets like thrown off and he's unconscious or something, and that's when Toshiki Minagishi, the plant guy, is like, "Oh, I owe that guy one," so like he saves him, and then those guys are sort of like,
Okay.
"I guess we're defecting." At this point,
Yeah, it's like we have no more use. The boss used us, whatever.
yeah. Oh, at some point, the claw who has the beasts or whatever,
Yeah.
he shows up and
He tries to help, but then he like
Mogami.
immediately loses the canister that Modami's in. Who unleashes him?
I think
The plant guy?
the plant guy unleashes him, and I think that's how the plant guy loses.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because Mogami, like,
I think he
plays
just takes
a part.
over all of his plants and just like ha 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 ha, and
It's
then he
just
just leaves.
yeah, he's just like, I don't want to see this out. Because Mogami's of the mind that's just like, I'm still not entirely sold on this whole humanity, friendship bonds thing that Mob's talking about, but he's impressed me enough that I want to see how this plays out.
I'm gonna let this one slide.
I'm going to observe him for a while. But Mob is like trying to turn the boss, Toichiro, into, he's like, all people can change, all people are possible of change, and they are like, they're fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, Mob loses, like Toichiro's like, oh, you're enjoying this too. Can't you see that, like, that smile on your face from this thrill of combat and destruction? And Mob takes a second to step back and is just like, I lost control of myself, and therefore I was not in... It might have seemed like I was in full control of my powers, but really my powers were in full control of me, which is a theme I wanted to talk about. You know, it's... I want to say, one of the themes of this season is controlling yourself is the real power, having discipline. I think we talked about this last season too. Because if you're not in control of yourself, then the power would be in control of you, or something else is in control of yourself. If you're out of control, that means somebody or something else is in control. Eventually, he like gives up on trying to play softball with Toichiro. He's just like, there's no reforming you.
I'm just gonna kick your ass.
Just gonna kick your ass now. Unfortunately, I did not want this to be the way that it is, but you have to also have stern discipline and not just be a helpful person. Like you have to have both sides of things. So he's like, okay, I'm done trying to do this the hard way. I'm gonna do this the easy way and beat you.
Which he does, but then
he does. But Toichiro has like 20 years of stored up power that he's been like slowly building for all that time, and then he's like, and now I'm releasing it, and it's releasing way too quick, and I can't control it, and I'm gonna explode this entire area. And then Mob tells everyone like, hey, you guys should just get out of here. And he goes back and he throws a barrier around the guy, around him and the guy, and it's just like, I could tell you had something. You're on the cusp of having some sort of revelation that you might like. I'm back to trying to help you again. There's something here, and he's like, and I don't want you to die without getting a chance to say what that was. And then he's just like, yeah, I kind of feel bad about my wife leaving me and my son never getting to see his mom, or I do care about them.
I did love her. I let my power and my ambition get the best of me.
Yeah, he let his power control him instead of him controlling his power.
Yeah.
So Mob is proven right once again that anybody is capable of change.
Yep.
Not everybody will change, but anybody is capable of it. He's somehow able to absorb the energy, which that's something we learn Mob can do, is he can just absorb other people's psychic energy, and that's something Toichiro can do, and he can gift it to people, which we knew he could gift it to people because he gifted it to Reagan the last season.
So I guess he just absorbed all that energy.
All that energy, but he had to put it somewhere, which is when he made a giant broccoli grow from the seeds in his pocket. And people didn't know exactly what that was. They're like, some sort of giant tree sprung up in the city. And they're like, it's weird the mob's pocket is burst open. I wonder what that was. Then somebody puts 2 and 2 together and like, you get broccoli seeds in there. That's a giant broccoli. Which now you know why there's been broccoli in the opening this whole time.
Yep.
I think it might have even been in the opening of season 1 that there was broccoli. I have to look at the animation for season 1. But, I mean, that's basically the end of the series.
Yeah, that was it. What is it? Umbrella Guy gets a job.
Oh, yeah, he gets a job working for Reagan, and Mob's his senpai.
Yeah.
Reagan gives him a haircut, which is a little like, okay, dude, it's just hair or whatever. But, like, you need to be...
It's a sign of change.
Yeah, that's true. We do get a couple of OVAs. We watched one of them. We did not watch the other one. I did look up what it was about. But one of them was Reagan gets a job to go out to a hot spring mountain town where like all our customers, when they finally make it here, they're exhausted and they say something about some other world that they're trapped in. So he takes Mob and Teru and Ritsu and Katsuya Serizawa. I don't know. Do they just call him Serizawa?
I don't know.
What do they call him?
I call him Umbrella Guy. It's Serizawa.
He doesn't have an umbrella. His umbrella is destroyed.
Yeah,
His
right.
umbrella was a crutch.
Okay, it's Serizawa.
But they, he's along too, and it's just like his first assignment. And he's got like these little like notes hidden in his sleeve that's like, don't let the boss feel, like support him this way, or they get trapped. They fall asleep on the train, the automobile.
Mm-hmm.
The train. Serizawa and Reagan. And then they wake up and they're in some other world trapped in the train. Meanwhile, everybody else who didn't fall asleep
It's having a great time.
is having a great time. They get to the hot spring. They carry their unconscious bodies to the hot spring, lay them down.
Serizawa is able to like transition back and forth.
Yeah, eventually Reagan's like, you go that way. We'll meet back later here. They realize they're like stuck in a loop. They just keep walking around. Like they exit one way and enter the other way. But eventually Serizawa wakes up and is just like, oh, hey guys. And then he goes back to the world and doesn't tell them that, hey, I made it out. So he's like, oh, I guess we were asleep. Doesn't tell them that they made it out. Reagan's been there for like weeks at this point. He's freaking out, rationing the snacks that they brought. Eventually Serizawa brings back more food and it's just like, oh, I brought it from the hotel. It's like, what?
What?
Yeah, the hotel. It's like, Mob and Ritsu and those guys are there. It's like,
How'd you get there?
okay, can you bring them here? And then they bring them there and then they're able to
Find the problem.
find the problem. Reagan's just like, I give up on finding the problem. Let's just get the hell out of here. And like, oh, really? Because it looks like it's something behind that mountain. It's like, all right, deal with the problem. So they fix it.
I knew that was the problem.
It's caused by the matron of the hotel. That's like I guess technically a de facto chief priest of this god that protects them from the other world. Had a cold, so things were getting through and people were becoming trapped. So they cure her cold. And that's the OVA.
Yep.
It's just a fun little adventure. We get to see Serizawa interact with the rest of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
The other OVA, which we didn't watch because it was 60 minutes, and we're like,
It was late.
That is mostly a review of the first season. However, it's put into the it's put into the framing device is the word I was looking for. The framing device of Reagan writing a book about his exploits, and then he like all the things that Mob does in the first season. He says that he does, and then he has the other kids be like the editor on it, and they're just like, well, this is all bullshit, and they change it back to being Mob, and then it doesn't sell any
Books.
doesn't sell his Kickstarter or his crowdfunding thing doesn't get any money besides the money that he himself put into it. And so at the end of it, he's just like, well, I guess I'll use this money to treat Mob to Robin. That was what that was. It's like, it could be interesting just seeing some of those scenes, but it's Reagan doing it, or maybe credibly drawn image of Reagan doing it. But that's what that OVA is. The only other thing I had to talk about was another theme was courage. And courage is acting in the midst of fear. I can't remember exactly what they said, but like the Megami KG fight was the theme of that was partially courage. Any thoughts you had?
No.
I guess we just transition to the outro at this point.
Anything else to say?
I don't think so. It's good. Go watch it.
So if we didn't do any
excited
dibs
for season 3. We will do. Yeah, I don't feel like doing dibs or.
Well, there was no dibs.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to talk ships. Ships are the same.
Ships are the same. Throw in Emmy and Mob as a ship, but she's in one episode.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit more of the Tsubomi ship hinting out, like she hasn't like she doesn't treat Mob necessarily like a background character. She's like, oh yes, I know he exists.
Okay.
Like she notices him. It's not like I never knew this person existed sort of thing. So there's a little bit of that, but it's not like not very much.
Yeah.
A little bit is the right word. I don't really have anything else to talk about.
Okay.
This is already longer than our episode on season 1.
Yeah.
So, only like 20 minutes longer. But you can follow us on Twitter at anime_territory. You can watch us stream at twitch.tv/TheMinuteGoku. Play Gloomhaven about once a week. I was supposed to do that tonight, but then I forgot. Wait a minute. We made plans to record this and also to go to the movies later tonight. And also the other guy I play with, Matt, his internet's been down and will hopefully be fixed tomorrow. Which will be several days ago by the time you're listening to this. But yeah, every Tuesday or Wednesday or so, I try to stream Gloomhaven with my friend Matt. Every once in a while we open up cards or play other video games. Sometimes I'll stream with my nephew or nephews. That's only been done twice. Then I know I'm wrapping it up. What do you think I'm doing?
You're just spending so much time on this Twitch thing.
I want people to watch.
You don't have to talk about it for 5 minutes.
I'm not. I talked about it for a minute.
It's too long.
You can watch us on YouTube, including the Twitch archives, at Anime Territory. We're the ones with the little cityscape background. You can find our podcast also on any podcast platforms you can think of.
Yep.
Am I missing anything? Said everything?
You said the Twitter thing?
Yep.
That's it.
All right. Well, then you are now leaving the Anime Territory.
Goodbye.